Let me just say this up front. I love Moscow. I've lived here for over a decade. I've built my life here. It's quiet, charming, it's safe, and I've talked a lot about the reasons why people fall in love with this place. But every town has its trade-offs. What I want to do in this video is talk about the side of Moscow that doesn't get as much airtime, the stuff that's not on the brochure. Because no matter how great a place might be, it's not going to be the right fit for everybody. So if you've been watching our other videos and thinking, okay, this all sounds amazing, but what's the catch? This video is for you. These are the 5 biggest reasons people leave Moscow, Idaho, even if they came here thinking they'd stay forever. Let's start with a tough one, the weather. When I say the weather, I don't mean, oh, bring a jacket kind of weather. We have these gray days in Moscow where there are months of overcast skies and only a little sunshine peeking through. From about November through February, you're looking at cloud cover that just kind of settles in and doesn't leave. There's some variance for sure, but the border between Moscow's seasons, starting and ending, can get pretty fuzzy. But if you're someone who thrives on sunshine, one consistent thing to keep in mind is that most years, with a very rare exception, we end up with long stretches of overcast that can really wear some people down. That lack of sunlight can start to chip away at people's mood and motivation. I've known people who are all in on Moscow, and then the weather got to them. There are things you can do: vitamin D, exercise, even just getting outside when you can. But those things don't work for everyone, and when it feels like the sun is taking a vacation for a month, that's when people really start to feel it. For some, that's a deal breaker. So if you're coming from a place with year-round sunshine, Arizona, California, Florida, you'll want to really think about how much the weather affects your mood. The landscape here is beautiful, but if you need that blue sky fix on the regular, Moscow's winters might not be best for you. Now, here's a weird one. People leave Moscow because it's too conservative, and people leave Moscow because it's too liberal. Yep, both. Moscow's one of those towns that manages to confuse just about everybody politically. You've got the University of Idaho bringing in a younger, more progressive crowd, and then you've got a strong, vocal conservative presence rooted in both longtime residents and more recent transplants. So if you're coming from a place like Portland, Seattle, or LA, Moscow might feel pretty conservative. But if you're from small town Idaho or rural Texas, Moscow might feel surprisingly liberal. It's a bit of a paradox, and it definitely catches people off guard. Here's the bottom line. If you're hoping to move somewhere that aligns perfectly with your political worldview, you might find Moscow frustrating. It's not fully in one camp or the other. But if you're okay with a place that has a mix, then it's easy to find your pocket here. Just know up front, the culture here is not homogenous, and that's one of the biggest reasons people move on. The last thing I'll say is that for the most part, across the board, people tend to be pretty friendly if you bump into them walking down the street. All right, let's shift gears. Let's say you're craving a Costco run, or you want to catch a big name concert without driving 2 hours. If that's your type of recreation, Moscow can start to feel a little limited. We've got the essentials covered for sure. Groceries, hardware stores, a great local restaurant scene that punches way above its weight. And the ICCU arena occasionally brings in smaller touring artists. But let's be honest, we don't have a super mall, we don't have major venues, there's no Trader Joe's or theme park down the road. And if you're someone who thrives on variety, big retail, live shows, major events, you're going to feel that gap pretty quickly. For some of you, if you're like me, that's actually a plus. You hear no big concerts and think, perfect, I hate traffic anyway. That quieter, more rural lifestyle is something people often move here for. But if you're the type who wants access to bigger city perks and don't want to give up the small town Moscow lifestyle completely, I've got a compromise for you. Your best bet is probably regular day trips to Spokane or Coeur d'Alene. Both are about an hour and a half away and can scratch that big city itch for you. So yeah, Moscow's amazing if you're looking for the slower pace of harvest parties and boutique shops, but if your weekends revolve around arena shows and high-end shopping, this town might feel a little too quiet for you. Okay, this one can sneak up on people in that it's not normally at the forefront of their minds when they make a move. But give it 6 months or a year and you'll definitely feel it. There's no real water here. And I don't mean, oh, there's no beach. I mean, no big rivers, no real lakes, no ocean, obviously, not even a massive reservoir that you might find in other parts of the Northwest. Sure, we've got some small options like Spring Valley Reservoir about 20 miles out, but the water quality in a lot of those locations is pretty questionable. The Clearwater River in Lewiston is about 45 minutes away, and Lake Coeur d'Alene, which is amazing, is closer to 90 minutes out. So if you grew up near the ocean or next to lakes and rivers where you could swim, kayak, fish, or just sit near the water whenever you wanted, that'll be a hard shift. I've heard it so many times from people who move away. I just missed the water. And I can resonate. I grew up in Santa Cruz, California, right on the beach, and I miss the water too. That's one of the reasons why my family makes frequent trips up to Coeur d'Alene during the summer. So speaking from experience, if you're the kind of person who's okay turning water adventures into day trips or weekend getaways, then you'll be just fine. But if having water right there out your back door, so to speak, is something you need to feel grounded, Moscow will feel a little dry. This one's probably the most practical reason people leave Moscow. The job market. Now, to be fair, it's not that there aren't jobs here. If you're in education, healthcare, or engineering, you're golden. The University of Idaho, Gritman Medical Center, and Schweitzer Engineering Labs cover a ton of ground. Outside of those 3 pillars, things get a little limited. There just aren't a ton of major industries here. A lot of people I know are either working remotely, working for startups, freelancing, or trying to build their own thing from the ground up. So if you've got a niche career path, or you're trying to climb a corporate ladder in something like marketing, tech, finance, or media, you might find yourself stuck pretty quickly. Moscow does have a very low unemployment rate. So it's not that people aren't working, it's just that if your skill set doesn't match the few dominant industries here, your options shrink fast and people sometimes move away to a place where their skills are more in demand. That's where people start saying, I love the town, but I feel like I can't grow in my career here. If you're an entrepreneur or someone who thrives on starting something new, this place is full of opportunity. But if you're looking for a buffet of job openings for you to choose from, you may end up commuting or eventually moving to find the right fit. So there you have it. 5 of the most common reasons people leave Moscow. These don't make Moscow an objectively bad place. They just make it a specific kind of place. And for the right person, it's incredible. Moving is a massive decision. And these are the 5 reasons I've seen the most people move out of Moscow. But there's a lot of nuance here. If you want to hear more details on any of these topics, give me a call. I'd love to be a resource for you. With that said, I hope that you walk away from this video with a little more clarity. I'd hate for you to move here, get blindsided, and then leave 6 months later because it's not what you thought. And hey, if this video helped you realize that Moscow might not be the right fit, that's okay. But if you're thinking, okay, now I want to hear the good side, make sure to check out our video on the top reasons people stay in Moscow. I'll link it for you here because this town isn't for everyone, but for the people it is for, it's home.